So we thought we'd close out the year or start the new one, depending on when I finish getting this done before I head out to CES, which brings me to that. If you are there for CES 2025, definitely let me know down below or contact me at my email address or Discord. Maybe we'll catch up and hang out. So I thought we'd check out some of the NASes. We've had some weird NASes, and yes, I'm going to say that correctly, weird NAS. That's NAS. That's network attached storage. I believe there's several different names for that, but that's always the one I've heard. You've probably seen some of the other stuff before. A typical network attached storage, or NAS, I'm just going to go NAS from here, even though YouTube may be thinking I'm saying something else, is just basically your own set of storage at home. Instead of being in the cloud like Google Drive or Dropbox or something like that, you're just going to have this in your home. And yeah, it does give some different things like ability to run Docker containers and VMs. And so, yeah, you can go right there. Can you run Home Assistant on this stuff instead of having to set up a separate Raspberry Pi? Absolutely. A lot of times you got just, a CPU kind of sitting there doing nothing most of the time because it's just handling storage. You can do other things with it. These have USB ports. If you want to get crazy with it, you can run Z-Wave Zigbee from things, which is pretty damn cool. So the typical storage, if you've seen these, is basically, you got your regular hard drive, just typical 3.5 inch hard drive, whatever capacity, and it puts it in what they call a RAID array, which means it's basically, if you don't know what that is, it's, to get geeky with it, it's redundant storage. And meaning that if, like, say this one has 4 hard drives in it, and there's 4 spinning hard drives, we'll get to that in a little bit, if one of them fails in the typical situation, well, then it still goes on, your data is protected, and you're able to get like a notification, usually like one of the red lights on the front, or even like a notification from email, your phone, the app, depending on the one, and it'll tell you like, hey, the hard drive's bad. And then pretty much you just got to buy a hard drive to replace it, the same size or usually larger, can't go smaller. You pop the new drive in after you fight with it for a little bit like I did at a weird angle, and then it will automatically rebuild that array and get it back to a protected state again, which is pretty damn awesome. Now, then you're able to control your own destiny, and the best thing is you don't have monthly fees for your storage except for, whatever your maintenance and power usage is. Especially great if you don't have fast internet with a fast upload, because then this is all local, and these have quick internet access ports on the back, or Ethernet. So like on this one, it actually has 2 Ethernet ports. So where does it get weird? Because this is the typical style. We'll move this out the way. We've also done the unraid stuff on like server boxes and stuff like that. If you haven't seen those videos, those are great because those are build your own type thing. These are kind of like ready to go. There's a couple different ones. You notice these are a lot smaller. This is the LinkStation N1. This is the Terramaster F8 SSD. They're fairly small. You can see they're also lightweight. And then the weird one is the Unify drive. And no, it's not Wi-Fi. Well, it does have Wi-Fi, but it's not anything dealing with Unify Wi-Fi. Yeah, it's going to throw you for a loop there. Just it's spelled differently. This one looks much like a battery charging pack. So this one actually has USB-C, you got Ethernet, which is 2.5 gigabit, and then you got HDMI because you can even connect to a display and watch some of your videos. Then on the side, you do get like your status lights. It's got vents on the side for cooling. And then on the bottom, you also get USB, and then you even get memory slots for memory cards, and then another USB-C. This one is actually pretty slick. It's actually also battery powered. You can't even, what's crazy, you can run Docker containers on this too. So if you really want to get crazy, yes, it can run Home Assistant. So on the bottom, don't lose the screw. It's just a little Phillips screw. And then in here, I just have 2 512 gig. I think if you're really, really rich, you can get up to, I think, 8 terabytes in NVMEs now. And this does like a RAID configuration, or if you use their software, is the little pseudo RAID where you can just RAID certain folders that'll be put across both in case one of them fails. And if one of them fails, then you just replace it and it rebuilds your data. Kind of the same deal. Now, you can't put your own software on this, really. It's really meant for to use their interface, their app, and everything. And the cool part about this is it does have access point where you can just connect to it through your phone. It's meant to be portable on the go. And storage for, like, even if you drop in your memory cards for your cameras, it'll automatically back up your memory cards. So if you're like traveling and everything, it's pretty slick. But I don't know how you would want to do that in a home setup for, like, if you did some sort of like wanting to run services and stuff like that. I would just stick to doing something a little more hardwired. This is more meant for on the go, since it also has that rubber rugged case, which you can see it's according to a AA battery. It's not that large and very thin on the device itself. So I'll dig into the interface on that one. It's got some cool little features, and later in the video, if you want to jump to that chapter. Jumping over to the Terramaster, a somewhat toolless design to get into. There's just one screw. You also get HDMI. You do get, I believe this is 10 gigabit Ethernet. And then you get USB-Cs and USB-A, or backwards there, USB-A here and USB-C. There's two fans on the bottom, and that's pretty much it. Inside of it, where all the magic is, it's not a toolless design to add your drives, but there's a big heat sink here for the processor, and then you will get 4 slots each for NVMEs, and the way it pulls the air across them, and it pulls across the actual heat sink for the processor as well. You'll notice down here there is a small USB-A memory stick. So if you did want to load your own software on there, like if you wanted to put like TrueNAS or Unraid or something like that, you could do that there by using that USB. That's where the actual operating system is on this box. You'll notice that's where the actual memory is, and then you also get 4 slots as well. So pretty slick there. You can do different configs there. It does come with their own operating system. I kind of have drawbacks from that because it's my data. I prefer to use some of the other, like TrueNAS or even like Unraid, something like that, versus some other operating system that comes with it. Just, kind of that tinfoil hat thing there. But that's all your data for what you do. This one's weird. This one comes with a LED bar that goes across the bottom, and then there's like an HTTP interface where you can change it. I don't know how I like that, but it almost looks like a old school DVD player. So yeah, it even has this little here that flips down, and you'll get the lights across the top here for where the hard drive states. And then in here there are drive trays, you can see there, for like laptop style drives. And there's 2 of them. And I have an SSD in there, and you do get, I believe this is only 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, which I'll get, it was weird to me. You'll get USB on the back, and of course there was USB-C on the front. And you do get HDMI as well for output if you need that. Now, more storage is on the bottom. Now, this is a totally toolless design, which I did like. And I'll zoom into one because we're blinding the camera with the different colors. So you can see on the bottom, there are 2 slots for a total of 4. There's 2 banks. And they just have this cool little toolless design where you hit this switch and it pops up and you can change the drive. So it makes it pretty simple, but I don't know how often you're wanting to change them, but it is kind of nice when you need to do that. And then the bottom of the case has this little, I guess, cooling pad that sticks to it to also transfer that heat out to the metal case, which is like some type of anodized aluminum type deal that should cool your NVMe drives. Now you'll notice over here, it's down in here, and it may not be really evident because it's all black compared with the big silver, is there is a USB adapter. It's just a little memory stick, because what comes with this is an Unraid license, which is pretty slick. Comes ready to go with Unraid already loaded on it. So that means, of course, you can run all your Docker containers, VMs, and everything. But with that, there's no way to like expand, at least from what I can see without opening it up, and is to actually add more RAM to this thing. But it also only comes with that N5 105 processor, so that is kind of lower powered. That's why I kind of saw this one as weird. I talked about it on a live stream a few months ago. I really wish they would have come out with something a little more powerful. And also, I guess, ones that have it are the 10 gigabit Ethernet. For, I guess, since you're having NAS storage, you're really limited with 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, especially on some of the crazy fast NVMe drives. So I know people that are wanting to do like 10 gigabit Ethernet with, you know, say doing those NAS with the NVMEs, you might be better off going with the Terramaster, but this is going to be definitely more money there. So definitely interesting little NAS in different sizes and shapes. I'll go through some of the interfaces, and I guess you'll be really familiar if you've seen Unraid. I'll just show you some of the quick stuff on here with the Link Plus. Of course, you could load your own on these as well for like the Link Plus. I believe this one as well. For the Terramaster, if you want to do like TrueNAS or other things like that as well. So I did load on my other one HexOS, but that's a whole different thing. So in the Unify Drive, it's fairly easy. I mean, just kind of walk through. This is the web interface. They do have a app for the phone that's fairly similar to this. It's like this desktop kind of oriented stuff like you've seen like Synology and different things nowadays. Now, by default, when you have the drives ready to go, they talk about this Unify Drive Dynamic RAID, which I thought was kind of slick for make it easy for people, because it's kind of, you know, this is going to be set for people that's on the go for like backing up cameras and laptops and things and being able to drop data in just like a portable little hard drive in a way that just does a whole lot more. So since it is NVMe, it formats pretty damn quick. Not waiting on spinning drives. Once your format's completed, you see it did kind of put them together for the storage pool. And based on the folders you pick, that's the ones that's going to be put across multiple drives. Otherwise, it just packs them together. So we get those half a terabyte drives, and then we end up with this almost 1 terabyte. And pretty much things are just like using a desktop, and it's just very easy to get around and move your files around. I'm not going to go through all of this stuff because it's just fairly straightforward on how things work. You do get this over here. If you'll notice, you get Docker, which is pretty neat. So if you want to go ahead and throw Docker in here, and you know, they have to do and say, hey, disclaimer, because you could install some crazy stuff. But you could run, if you really wanted to, you could run like the Home Assistant container on here. I don't know if you can do VMs. I'll go check back in the apps. So where we are, we got Home Assistant. We can download the Home Assistant Docker container. So this rock chip that's in here is not the fastest thing, but I guess you have to remember is portable. So I had to piddle fart around with the ports and everything. It did not like 8123. The typical default one for Home Assistant, but I changed it to 8124, and you can see we get the onboarding. So pretty cool that you can run Home Assistant from this little portable drive. It's very versatile in the things it can do, given, you know, it does have Docker service. So I guess if you do log in using your ID and password used on Samba, if you just go in and you got several folders here, and I can see my actual share folder right here. Let's try and drop a large file in there. 68 gig. How about that? There we go. OG was recording some stuff. So this is the limit of the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port. But I did want to see if the actual cache, if it was just caching it in RAM. I wanted to blow out that 8 gig of RAM just to see if it'll withhold and stick there with the whole around, you know, the 2.5 gigabit. It seems to be doing fairly well, so it's not too bad. I'll go ahead and actually leave this file in here because I do need to transfer this to OG's computer so he can do the editing on his little gaming video here. Now, they do have a deal with, like, they call it this AI. I think everybody's calling anything that has an if then else statement AI, but this does have like some facial recognition. Well, let's do the AI stuff. There we go. So there's the people, his coach, and there's OG. And yeah, there's no pets on here. The scene is a group photo, I guess. So you can pop in and show that one person. And yes, it actually kind of that's kind of cool. It picked them out of this photo. So he's not that large in the photo, given it was a good size group photo. So really only the other stuff I need to test on this is going to be that USB-C, but pretty interesting little box. I don't know, you know, I don't have time to go through all the features and bore you with that, but it pretty weird NAS for, you know, different tasks you might need. Now this is the Terramaster. Remember I have 8, you can put up to 8 NVMEs on it. And also you could change the RAM or whatever. They have a quick little desktop type app with the stock firmware on it. And it's fairly intuitive like other devices. And I do have the 5 drives in here. So if I just wanted to, I want to try this actually, is I wanted to take this drive off and this one off and just do these 2 here. And it's cool. It shows you this little chart and you can do like different modes and everything. Now they have their little, you know, triad. I guess that's the Terramaster one. And it's like, what is triad? So it's like a flexible disk array. I'm assuming you can grow things if you want. So once it does build, it's going to do that synchronization, and it can take some time. It's saying it's 157 minutes. I'm obviously not going to wait, but it says, you know, it can slow down performance, but this is NVMe. The Docker Manager and the Docker Engine looks like it's downloading it right now. That will allow you to like put like Plex and Home Assistant and everything else you want to run right on the box itself. And you get all your registered stuff out of here. That's probably a hidden Docker hub. And let's go ahead and give it a shot to do Home Assistant and confirm. So let's go to see if we can browse to it. Yep, there it is. We can hit create smart home and do all the things with Home Assistant there. Now that's not HAOS, that's just the Home Assistant container. So if there's like other applications like Zigbee to MQTT and MQTT, you would need to go add those for, you know, all your different things. So on the App Center, let's see what else we got here. Looks like Cloud Sync. I'm not gonna go through all these apps. I could spend hours and hours digging through here. The multimedia server, surveillance manager, for like doing your cameras. You got Terra Photos. We'll try some photos. And just click on install. Cloud Drive server, USB, VPN, MB server. Oh, look, there's even Plex right there. Plex Media server without having to do the container either. So it looks like it's up here. It's saying AI intelligent recognition. Isn't that double AI intelligence? Artificial intelligence? We'll see what's going on. So yeah, it has a little photo browser. Pretty cool there. It's built in, just, you know, your typical stuff like you could probably get with some of your different Docker containers like Image or something like that. Scene looks like, oh, it did pull it out. So it says it's gym and balls, and then it thinks it's dance. So pretty interesting there. I'm guessing it's probably picking up on this red logo there. It's thinking it's a ball. For people, it's pretty, it wasn't too hard for it to do. So it's going to say, who's this? OG. Okay, well, then it sees him. So pretty neat. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a file in the public folder. I should be able to put a videos folder in there just to go see. So we're starting out at 280, which is the max of that 2.5 gig. It looks like it's going to drop a little bit, but we'll see just if it hangs on to the cache. It's like we got like 32 gig in this system. So we'll see if it sticks through and hangs out at 2.5 gig the entire time. So we got some ups and downs. It looks like it's using like 20 watts. So that's kind of normal, I guess, when it's on idle. We're getting like that 12 to 13 watts at idle. But then when you're transferring a bunch of stuff and doing things, it's going to jump up to that 20 watts or so, but still minimal. And it's going to be stupid quiet because there's no moving parts except for those two little fans on there. So I'll let this file transfer, and then we'll look through a couple other things, but there's not a whole lot else to this, given it's just a file share thing with just tons of different apps, which that's going to change all the time. This is the link station. Of course, it comes with Unraid out the box, and you don't have to like flash anything or write drives. It just comes ready to go. Now, you're more than welcome to do that if you want to and change the operating system on it. So the password, if you don't have to go do some digging, I'll tell you, I had to look in their documentation. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you would want to change that. So I made it ugly purple just so I wouldn't get it confused with my other Unraid box. Now I only have like 2 drives in there. I've got the spinner, which is here, which is 2 terabyte apparently. And then so it's seeing the Kingston, that's the 512 gig NVMe. I have that set as the cache. And then you'll get the 4 gig memory stick. That's where actually the OS boots from. I believe this 128 gig is also an SSD that I have in there. So we could try to set that as an array, but yeah, we just don't have a lot of drives, which leads to the weird thing with this is it's a weird combo. The 2 spinners, what do you do with that? Like you want to do like a parity, but then you don't want it to be slow with your NVMEs. So I don't know what the whole point of doing the 2.5 inch drives on this. Why didn't they just go all NVMe? Or maybe if it was a little differently, where if you had the 4 NVMe and then 4 actual spinners and like 4 3.5 inch, because there's not a lot of large size laptop hard drives. Everything is gone to NVMe drive. So it's a weird design. Yeah, it's Unraid. You get everything, all your drives, you get there. If you had more NVMe drives, you could add them in here. I have them unassigned, and it's pretty much nothing else to it. If you're familiar with Unraid, you can get all the Docker containers. If you want to add containers, it's not hard to do. You just need to go, it's confusing that part, but hit apps. They call everything apps in here. So say if I wanted to, we're going to do the same test. Let's do Home Assistant. We'll just hit apply and let it eat. So there's a Docker container for Home Assistant. We should be able to just hit Web UI, and there we are. It pops right in. Fairly easy. I find the Docker container stuff to be a lot easier with Unraid. You can see just installing things like as you want to go. So we're not making this a whole home automation thing, but yeah, the dashboard will show you all the stuff. Now, this is where one of the things I did not like about the link station was the N5105. It's kind of an older processor and limited on things compared to the others. Maybe they'll do an updated version and then get rid of the whole weird drive config. I just find the whole thing is odd. Then the other really weird thing, yeah, this is bright white. It's this Chinese like page on this thing. And luckily Google picks it up and says, hey, convert to English. And you do get the navigation. This is like a weird built-in interface. I don't know what to think of this, to be honest with you. This service is, you got all this like LED controls, and that's like for the strip on the front. And then there's even like the RGB LED strip. And you can change it to like, to go from like red to green and everything. I think I have it on red and blue right now. So I thought it was kind of interesting. You can change the LED strip to move. And then, yeah, it's the hard disk status. I don't know. This is very strange to me. at the way they did not build this into Unraid, even though they partnered with them. Maybe it should be like in a plug-in or something up there, but it's not. So that about do it for this one. I guess it leads down to, would you buy any of these? The Unify Drive, the portable thing, I guess it's neat if you have a really good use case for that, of needing portable like Wi-Fi and drop and throwing stuff on from cameras and everything. But for me, I guess I can just get a big USB-C, even USB-A or C, there's A on there, C on that side, and call it a day. I know I don't get the redundancy and all the other cool stuff with it, but this is just the KISS principle. So for me, this would kind of work, but I guess if you need all those auto backup things and redundancy, because maybe you're doing a photographer and you don't want to worry about losing all your files, so you need duplicate copies on something, I could kind of see that. But all the other stuff is just kind of neat. It's a really niche use case. For the Terramaster, super nice. You get the 8 NVMEs. You get their little, OS of all the things. I did find the Docker stuff kind of confusing on their side. If I end up getting one for that, I'd probably just want to put like TrueNAS or Unraid on it and get rid of their OS that seems kind of bloated to me. But I guess it's ready to go, and some people just like clicking around in a GUI that's ready to go and just simple, right? Then link to the link station. That one's just super strange. The config with the 4 NVMEs and the 2.5-inch spinners is super odd. It does come with Unraid, so it's like it has a nice operating system with it, but then, yeah, the drive config is weird. It's almost like Terramaster needs to put Unraid on theirs to make it pretty damn slick with the 8 NVMEs and super simple for things. So, but I guess it's flexible. You can change things out as you want. So my favorite out of these is the Terramaster 8 NVMe, just because it has 10 gigabit Ethernet, so you can take advantage of all those 8 NVMEs, and it doesn't play around with adding that weird RGB HTTP interface, and then it just keeps it simple for all the drives, and it has a better processor. So I'm sure it costs a lot more though. Maybe LinkStation will come out with something a little more in line with maybe doing like actual real 3.5-inch drives. Like they did 4 3.5s and maybe 2 NVMEs. That would be great. Like that would be a really good options to do. So that about do it for this one. I do appreciate for sending these to check out, and I do appreciate you for watching this odd one, and Happy New Year to all of you out there. And do remember, we'll be at CES, so give me a holler if you're around the area. We can come, have a drink or something and catch up.